Good morning. Welcome everybody this morning. This is Thursday, September 10th. And it's a little bit brighter this morning, a little bit less smoke, a little bit cooler temperatures. I get to wear a sweatshirt today. Those are all good signs that things are favorable in fighting all these California fires, though the fires, some of them are just going crazy right now. And so, yeah, continue to pray. Pray for those families, pray for firefighters. Welcome everybody, Kyle and Katya, all the way there in I'm trying to remember what city you're in India. The one that always comes to mind for me, we always visited Hyderabad in Andhra Pradesh, but I know that's not where you guys are. Dana Krishak, welcome this morning. Debbie Collins, thank you all for being here, joining us. Carmen Lego, Wendy Chadwick, good morning to you. New Delhi, that's right. That's where Kyle and Katya are. Steve Hauser, good morning. Steve, hopefully you slept better last night. I know you had a sleepless night as well as I did, or the night before. Jim and Kathy, welcome. Sally Crocker, welcome. Yeah, I crashed out last night. The first time I was able to just kind of sit down and relax for a minute was about 9:15, and actually that's the last thing I remember until about midnight when I got up and went to bed. So yeah, Jan Atkins, welcome this morning. Good to see you. I'm imagining you're still there in Visalia. We're continuing to pray for you and all of those who live around Shaver Lake and the creek fire that's just devastating that area. Barbara Del Rio. Karen Faust, welcome this morning. Dana Krishak, there's my mom, welcome. So, yeah, it's a good day today. We are continuing our study of the Beatitudes today. And so it's going to continue to welcome people. Barbara Richardson, Lori Cares, welcome everybody. So, as I was reflecting this morning on, as I continued to read in the Beatitudes, yesterday we talked about, being poor in spirit. And today I just want to continue kind of in the same theme, because that's kind of the theme of the Beatitudes, is that, there's a couple things that I was journaling about this morning that, every of those statements that Jesus makes begins with blessed are. This advantageous position or disposition toward a certain status of life or character trait or whatever it is. Man, you're blessed. When you look at someone, you're like, wow, you're blessed. But then when Jesus says the character trait or the life status of those that he's saying are blessed, it seems contradictory, right? Blessed are the poor. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger. Blessed are those who are thirsting. Blessed are the persecuted. It's like, well, wait a second. What do you mean blessed? How are you describing, how happy you must be if you're mourning? And these are, I think, are a mixture of character traits as well as life experiences or a particular status that we have in life, and to say that's an advantageous position, it feels contradictory. And so this is, what you wouldn't really normally call that blessed. Oh, you're blessed. And so this is probably for Jesus's audience there in that first century. They're probably feeling the same things. Like, well, wait a second, what do you mean by this? And Jesus is introducing this idea about the kingdom that was, even with regard to the kingdom, kind of it was probably contradictory in their mind too, because all of us would say, who believe in God, who are trying to live by faith, that we want a high status in the kingdom. We want to be have a position of faithfulness, and God is going to reward us. And that's not our total motive, but that's ultimately the goal, right? We want God to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And this idea of what Jesus is introducing here is, you want high status in the kingdom. Here are the things that God is looking for, if you're experiencing in this world struggles, poverty, mourning, persecution, in the kingdom of God, you're going to inherit the kingdom of God. You're going to inherit the earth. You're going to be satisfied if you're hungry and thirsting. You're going to be blessed by God if you're being persecuted. God sees your status, and he is most interested. So what another one was, blessed are the pure in heart. I didn't add that to the list because it didn't seem like a low status, more of an internal character trait that none of us would look at as, blessed are the pure in heart. All of us would agree that is a kind of a blessing. Yeah, you're looking at someone who's pure-hearted, right? But blessed are the pure in heart, and so God is interested in our heart status, and so the kingdom of God is this realm. And the status of someone in the kingdom of God is determined by God himself. His rules, what he is looking for to elevate someone in a high status in the kingdom of God, as well as those are going to just frankly are going to have a low status. They might be at the kingdom of God, they're sitting at the table, but they're not a place of honor necessarily. This is kind of hard to talk about in these terms because anybody in the kingdom is going to feel blessed, right? Anybody who's in the presence of God is blessed. But these are the terms that God uses, and Jesus is using it at the Sermon on the Mount. And at the outset, they don't feel like that these positions or this status that he's describing doesn't align with how people have attained status now as we look around. And Jesus is introducing this idea. It is that the kingdom is not what you think. Many people who have lots in this world will be wanting in the kingdom. And people who are poor in this world oftentimes will have a very high status in the kingdom. When God looks at the world, he is looking at our heart. He's looking at our own character, our faithfulness. And oftentimes those things that God values has nothing to do with what we value in the world. And that provides a conflict for us because we live in this world. And one thing that a phrase that we often said growing up, and it stuck with me, and I'll tell you why, is this phrase: "Nice guys always finish last." The nice guy never gets the girl, right? It's always the bad boys that the pretty girls seem to be interested in. And the reason that sticks out to me is that I was always kind of the nice guy. I was a believer, first of all, but also my temperament is I'm a peacemaker by heart, and also I am introverted and shy. And before you grow up into adult, I mean, that really kind of affects how you socialize. And as an adult, you kind of mature and you develop skills and so on to kind of overcome some of that shyness. But as a kid, man, I was really quiet and easily embarrassed. And so I like to kind of fly under the radar. And so what I learned by that growing up is that unless you're assertive, unless you are outgoing, unless you have accomplished something great, no one cares. No, you're just like one of the kids in the class, you know. And I loved sports, but I wasn't an outstanding athlete. You know, I was always small in stature. You know, all those things that normal ways you can achieve status in the world. I just didn't have that in spades. I was just a nice kid. I was a kid that the teachers liked, right? Because I was just quiet. I followed the rules, and whatever. And in that pecking order of youthfulness, I didn't think it was very helpful to be nice. I felt like it was kind of a curse. And I was trying to live out my faith and live in a way that was honoring to God, but yet all of my peers who didn't necessarily do that were elevated, right, in status among our peers. And in the world, it's kind of like that too. It just kind of a bigger picture of the same thing. We see people who are in power. We see people who are attaining great success. Many of them, it's despite the fact that they're not super humble people. And, it's just that's the way it works in the world. But Jesus is saying in the kingdom, it doesn't work that way. You can have all the power you want in this world. That doesn't guarantee you're going to have a high status in the next. What is God looking for? What is Jesus saying that are high qualities of the kingdom? It's going to get you status in the kingdom. And he says it over and over and over again in the Gospels. It's the idea of those who are humble, those who are willing to serve, those who are willing to endure. When someone slaps you on the cheek, you turn the other cheek, right? When somebody says, I want your coat, you give them your shirt as well. Your willingness to sacrifice yourself on behalf of others doesn't get you much in life, but it apparently gets you a lot in the kingdom. He's constantly, remember Jesus, like in Matthew 18, is gathering the children to him. And this is in the context of the disciples trying to discuss who is the greatest among them, or how do you be great in the kingdom. Jesus says he gathers children who would be of low social status in their world. He says, you got to be like these children. You have to have a faith of a child. If you're like these children, you'll achieve greatness in the kingdom. He makes statements like the last shall be first in the kingdom. And those who are first now, unfortunately, are going to be last in the kingdom. In this world, nice guys always finish last. And I don't mean to say that you can't be assertive and be humble at the same time. I think that that's one of the things we grow in maturity. I've had to learn to be more assertive when I'm so shy and so on as a younger person. As an adult, you just develop these skills. So it's okay to be assertive, but you have to be assertive and humble if we are going to live a life that is honoring of the Lord. And this is the point Jesus is making. So our status in the world, wherever you find yourself now, has little to do with the status that we will have in the kingdom. And so where are we putting our energies? Where are we, how are we, knowing this to be true as believers, how are we valuing other people? That's another reflection for today, is that if I, as a believer, am only valuing people who I can gain from, the popular people, the people in power, the people of influence, and I'm allowing that to influence how I treat people, and people that I can't gain anything from, people of low social status, or however you measure that in this world, if I treat them with indifference, then I'm perpetuating the same system. If I believe in the system that Jesus is promoting, the kingdom of God, I have to align my own value system according to that. I have to treat people according to that. This is why believers should be leading the way in helping the impoverished, helping widows and orphans, people in that low social status class. Not that that's necessarily the way it is today. In our culture, we have lots of laws and we have human rights activists and everything. So you have to weigh how you do this. But certainly we should be those who are upholding the cause of the downtrodden. We should be upholding the cause of those who are overlooked, downcast in this world, the refugee, the one who has little rights in our society as believers. We are the ones who should be valuing them, or seeing their value apart from their social status. We shouldn't allow the social status today to determine how we treat people. So not only is God saying to us through Jesus here that you are blessed, even if your current social status is high or low, if you bear these character traits of the kingdom. And you are blessed, Jesus would also say, if you treat other people according to the value system of the kingdom and not necessarily according to the value system of the world. These are really key components to the Christian life and what makes Christians stand out. We can be assertive. We can be in positions of influence. But how we do this with humility and lifting other people up apart from what we can personally gain from them should cause Christians to stand apart, to uphold the rights and the value of people who in our culture seem to be more marginalized. And that's just, and feel like if you feel marginalized in our culture, be comforted. That's one of the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who mourn because they will be comforted. Be comforted because God sees your heart. God sees who you are. God sees your faithfulness. When you are, you don't get credit for things. You're doing all the work, but you're happy to allow someone else. A lot of your work is to let someone else look good. A lot of wives fit into that category in our culture, where they're, behind every good man is a great woman, right? That phrase is so true in so many ways. I can't even tell you how much I benefit from being married to Martha. She is my favorite person in the world. I've said that, but she humbly serves and serves and serves and serves, and honestly, in my own pride or in my own selfishness, there are times where I just let her serve rather than serve her. And that's where these kingdom principles and values have to be lived out. I have to be able to elevate my wife where she feels every bit as important in our household, first of all, but in our world. Because of how I value things, and so that's just one of many examples. But you get it. If you're feeling low in this world, low social status, keep this in mind. According to the kingdom, that has no bearing. It's who we are and what we value. If you see and how we live our lives should be reflective of these kingdom values. And so as we read these Beatitudes, and as you reflect on them, how do they reflect your life? Take comfort from that. And how to reflect your view of how the world should be valued. Is it aligned to how God values things, or is it more aligned to how the world values things? And we should make adjustments accordingly. So be blessed today. Live out the kingdom principles in your life today. If there's something in your heart you have to examine that may feel uncomfortable, take time and do it. Not just say, oh yeah, it's there, but take the next step to say, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to live out my faith in a way that reflects kingdom values today so that other people can see God in me? So be blessed today. Looking forward to this week. And again, we're going to have 2 services indoors at Grace, 9 a.m., 10:30. Our kids going to have a great kids program at 9 a.m. So if you're a young family, bring those kids at 9 a.m. We're going to have our full kids program there. And but unfortunately, we don't have the way to do that at 10:30 as well. We only have so many people. So just plan accordingly. So be blessed. We'll see you again on Sunday morning. Have a good day.